Good morning, rise and shine to the morning momentum, your daily dose of a comprehensive rundown of the top stories making the headlines today being Good Friday, 24th of January 2025. We have a great show lined up for you this morning. We have a guest in studio with whom we are going to discuss those headlines that made to the news this week in the political landscape. But before then, let's take a look at the top stories making the headlines on the papers this morning. We start with the Daily Nation now. Alarm as Kome's security withdrawn. In a protest letter addressed to Interior Minister Kipchumba Murkomen and Police Boss Douglas Kanja, Chief Justice Martha Koome yesterday said the executive has recalled her bodyguards and slashed the number of officers seconded to the courts in a move that sets the judiciary on a fresh collision course with President William Ruto's administration. That story is beefed up for you on page 7. Also on the front page of the Daily Nation this morning, broke schools hit dead end. Now, successive and fulfilled promises by the government to release funds to public schools have left school heads, workers, and learners in a desperate situation, with many institutions unable to provide basic needs such as food and learning materials. That story is beefed up for you on page 4 and page 5 of the Daily Nation this morning. On page 2, in Matters Crime, Sarah Cohen seized in city to face fresh murder charges. Now, Sarah Wairimu, the widow of murdered Dutch businessman Todd Cohen, has been arrested and is likely to appear in court today. We'll catch up with that on page 2. Quickly, let's take a look at the Standard. On the front page of the Standard this morning, Chief Justice kicks up storm over security. Now, is it hot air? Chief Justice Martha Koome is up in arms over what she calls executive interference after her security and officers in the Judicial Police Unit were withdrawn, calling for respect of constitutional offices. Intriguingly, the National Police Service says judges' security is intact and those who are recalled for training had been replaced. That story is beefed up for you on page 9. We have the sentiments of Martha Koome here. She said, and I quote, "This act of withdrawal sends an unmistakably damaging message that those tasked with defending justice and constitutional liberties are susceptible to interference. Such a signal erodes public confidence in the judiciary's impartiality, threatening its role as a check against abuse of power." You want to catch up with that on the Standard this morning. Now, also Sarah Cohen in court for murder case on page 9. On page 5 of the Standard this morning, thin line between Speaker and Ford Kenya adherent. Now, from the rooftops of cars, National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula seemed to have shaped his impartial political outlook for breezing politics, telling off government critics and joining government's crusade across the Western Kenya tour. Now, on page 4, and this is going to make part of our discussion this morning, why the president is an angry man. Now, President William Ruto is an angry man, failed by his former deputy, forced to eat humble pie, and pushed to the wall by Gen Z agitation. However, he is not alone. That story is beefed up for you on page 4. On page 6, Gachagua dealt blow in impeachment case. Now, the court yesterday declined former DP's plea to freeze 10 cases challenging his ouster. That story is beefed up for you on page 6 of the Standard this morning. On page 11, cautious optimism over sugar bonus. That is also a top story making the headlines this morning. Now, as I told you earlier, we have a guest with me right here on our backyard. Today we are on the backyard and we are here to discuss what has been happening around the political scene during this week. We had the president referring to his former deputy who was impeached as incompetent and corrupt. And then yesterday, the former deputy president clapped back. Now, with that together, we also have Alam, as Comet security was withdrawn yesterday. And now we start our conversation from this point. But before then, let me introduce my guest. With me this morning is Mr. Fred Ongalo. Good morning, sir.
Good morning to you.
Thank you
Morning, viewers.
thank you so much for making time.
Okay.
Now, um, yesterday we saw Chief Justice Martha Koome, raising agitation over withdrawal of his security. What does this signify about the relationship between the judiciary and the executive?
Yes, Alfonso. It is laughable that the Chief Justice, as the name suggests, it's laughable that he's also seeking for justice herself. You know, the Chief Justice is supposed to be the custodian of justice in the country.
Mm.
When you hear that he's also ranting in the media that his security has been withdrawn, that is actually an indication that an indication of a failed marriage between him and the executive. Okay. Maybe for some time he has been in bed with the same, and it seems to be a victim of the same policies, the same injustices that is subjected Kenyans to.
Mm. Mr. Fred, you will agree with me that this is not the first time we are seeing a security detail for a judicial officer being withdrawn. We had the cases of former Chief Justice David Maraga. Yes. There was Justice Philomena Mwilu, who was serving as the Deputy Chief Justice at that time. Yes. Now, what does these patterns indicate about, the broader climate of judicial independence in the country?
Basically, I feel it is an interference from the executive. It is obvious we have three arms of the government, which are, of course, independent. That is judiciary. We have the executive and legislature. That is our parliament, our two parliaments. But we have had a trend where the executive really wants to control the judiciary. If that one is actually, if they realize that in one way or another the judiciary is not playing ball, that is when they want to frustrate them in one way or another to ensure that they toe the line, which of course is not good for the judiciary and is also not good for the citizenry.
Why do you think this always happens at a time when there is a kind of rubbing shoulders between the judiciary and the executive? Because the events preceding this, the police IG has been summoned to appear in court, yes, and he has missed not once, not yes, twice. Yes. And then now when he's summoned again, now we see the security detail withdrawn. But of course he gave a response and said that those who are withdrawn had been given promotions and that they have gone for training. Now, the bond of contention is before security is withdrawn, we expect that security, first of all, you get a replacement before the ones in place have been withdrawn. Why haven't we seen this happening?
Okay, I think this argument that the officers that were initially attached to the judiciary and have been recalled, maybe for retraining, I think that reasoning is neither here nor there, because there must be backup plan. As we speak now, I feel that the government has just adequate security or personnel to really replace. Retraining is not just an incident. This is a program that the government must have prior arrangements. So if you hear that the Chief Justice is complaining, really there must be something. There must be something. So I do not really want to buy that argument. And then you realize that you've also said that there has been a pattern over the years that whenever there is a complaint from the Chief Justice, maybe with starting with Mwilu and Maraga, there's always been some incidences that in a way are not well taken by the judiciary themselves. I think of late, the government has been there have been cases, court cases or decisions by the judiciary that the government have not appreciated in one way or another. So it is just a way of trying to push the judiciary to be able to play ball, as I said it before, because without that one, before, when there was no any contention, where there was no any matter that was involving the government and the judiciary, this has not happened. So I feel it is just as I've said it. The government want in every aspect of their governance. They really want a judiciary that is friendly, a judiciary that is not going to make decisions that will paint the government to be weak, decisions that will not go well with the president's decisions, the executive decisions. So they are just trying to push the government, actually the judiciary, to do exactly what they want, not what the wananchi want.
Does this pose any potential risks on affecting the service delivery by the judiciary?
Oh, definitely it is going. It is that has a direct negative impact on the judiciary, because the judiciary must be. They also need to be protected by the same law that they manage. Without that one, the security is something that is universal. Every Kenyan, even including the president, the member of parliament, they are people that are dependent on the judiciary as is provided for by the law. So when they complain, of course, there will be a lot of suspicion. There will be a lot of discomfort among themselves because they move up and down. They are handling very sensitive cases, that requires a lot of security. You can remember I think it was early last year, when they are in this magistrate that was gunned down in the courts in Makadara courts, the law courts. Yes. So these are just some areas that are matters of concern, because they are being denied their space to discharge their responsibility. Yes.
What potential risks does this action pose to the safety of CJ and also those who work around the judicial system?
I think the risk are obvious, Alfonso, because you understand some of these things. Kenya, there is a trend that when the government really want to either, we have had cases. Let me take an example of our former chief of defense forces. If you look at the chronology of events leading to his death, in a way or another, it is in public domain that there was some security lapse along the way. Now, when the Chief Justice is complaining, definitely, he feels that there could be, with the recalling of this police officer attached to their offices, there could be a lot of security lapse. And in the process, you don't know who the enemy could be. It could be the government, it could be maybe the competitors, or maybe those who are not happy with the decision that they have so far made. So you can never know when an enemy can actually strike. That is why, in the first place, the security was given, and I'm very sure the security is 24-hour security for the head of the judiciary. So naturally, that one will just tell you that there is a lot of risk. There's a lot of risk on the life. And when there's a threat on the life of any person, leave alone the Chief Justice, that one will affect the overall performance. Yeah.
Fred, the public is watching what is happening around.
Yes, yes.
And slowly the public is, losing trust.
Yes.
How do you think this decision of withdrawing the security detail of CJ Kome will influence public trust, and independence of the impartiality of the judicial system in the country?
Oh, I think this one will, this kind of an approach will just continue to erode the trust that the citizens have, wananchi have on the government. Really, Kenya, we are not in our best of as far as governance is concerned, because there's a lot of this mistrust with wananchi. And actually, when you see the Chief Justice is being denied what is being provided for in the Constitution, that one just tells you how much we as ordinary wananchi are being oppressed. The Chief Justice is heading one arm of the government. Actually, I think the Chief Justice should be either number 3 in the ranks, in the authority ranks of the country. So if such a person can be denied his rights, if such a person's life can be at a threat, so really wananchi have a reason, because there have been evidence of how we wananchi have been oppressed. Look at the Gen Z demonstration, look at the abductions. Now it is the Chief Justice that is being denied the security. You know, people are worried.
Okay. Now, Mr. Fred, you know, also we have seen it looks like there is a crack between the judiciary and the executive.
Yes, yes.
And this crack seems to be widening every single day.
Yes, yes.
We keep seeing on, you know, impunity when these police bosses are summoned to appear in court.
Yes, yes.
It happened with the previous acting IG of police.
Yes,
now
yes.
it's Douglas Kanja.
Douglas Kanja, yes.
What does this message send to the people of Kenya about upholding the rule of law?
Oh, I think this is an issue that we've discussed and we have encouraged our fellow wananchi really to stand up. People should not wait for them to be charged for to take action. You know, in as much as I will really want to empathize with the Chief Justice, I must also castigate him for having slept on his job at some stage. This is the justice is only now talking because it is the one that is being charged, and another department of government that I think we should really bring into this discussion is the parliament, because our members of parliament have failed us in a great way, because they have gone to bed with the executive and they are the people that are promoting this. Really, this is now a collective responsibility. It should not be left to an individual. It should not be left to wananchi, and of course, it should not be left to the department of the government that is now being targeted. You know, we are supposed to be united as well, and as Kenyans, to fight against lawlessness, whether from the judiciary, whether from parliament, whether from the executive, because these offices, these positions comes and go, you know, but you know the rule of law will remain. Wananchi will remain here. So I really want to challenge all those who have been privileged to hold the positions. Actually, not just to feel it okay when other departments or individuals are being oppressed. Now the Chief Justice, they sit operating, doing nothing about it, not talking about it, not because it is not them. Tomorrow it will not be the Chief Justice in the office. Martha Koome will not be in the office. It will be totally a different person. But with the precedent of where, you know, we have to discharge our responsibility. We have to talk. We have to raise our voices only when it is us. But when it is not the other people, when it is not another person, people are quiet. No, really, this is where we are getting it wrong. No, yeah, we Kenyans, we are supposed to take this responsibility individually, whether in office or not. What we want, what will work for us universally, what will work for all Kenyans is the rule of law. Yeah, not the individuals who are holding those particular positions. So we have been failed by government. We have failed as wananchi, because the other time, in fact, most people, when the GNCs came up trying to fight for justice, you know, some sectors, some sections of Kenyans felt that that was a GNC war. It was not there. So they sit back watching as GNC fought. They did not come to support. Now it is Chief Justice. At some stages, Justice was also sitting pretty when other Kenyans were being oppressed. It is now his turn.
Okay.
Her turn, sorry.
You know, Kenya is known for having a reputation of upholding a rule of law. And this reoccurrence of the same events that has happened before puts us on a map, and the international community is also watching.
Yes, yes.
Where does this put us in the eyes of the international community?
Well, you have said that Kenya has been seen as a respecter of the rule of law. I don't. That was before, but not now. I think our relationship with the law, as we speak, it is not. Let's call it the way it's supposed to be. It's not at its best. I think it is in this regime that we have witnessed high levels of disregard to the law. You know, and you know, the country does not just develop. Alphonse, you know, a country can only develop in a suitable environment. That suitable environment includes that rule of law. How are the courts working? You know, because everything, even the, even the investors, before they come into a country to invest, one thing that they have to check is how efficient is the judicial system. They really want an environment where any activity that they can meet will be dealt with within the law and in a manner that is a manner that is I would say is good for everybody. You know, is good for everybody. So as we speak, the message that is going outside there, the message that is going outside is not the best. You know, because you know these investors, they are the outside world is dependent on the information. Now we are referring to our newspapers here. They are reading these newspapers. You know, we have social media. Most of these things are being relayed abroad. They are being relayed in other countries within Africa and outside Africa. So this is the medium of information that these people are getting. You know, so their judgment of what is happening in Kenya cannot be better than what they are reading from, what they are what they are hearing from us. Yes, yes.
Chapter 1 of our Constitution says that all sovereign powers belong to the people of Kenya.
Yes, yes.
What then do we need to look out for as the citizens of this country to reclaim the lost glory that we had?
I think going by the same chapter 1, where it is well articulated that the sovereign authority actually is bestowed on the wananchi. It is now, despite the fact that we have representatives actually who are supposed to mobilize us to challenge some of the injustices that we are being subjected to. Not all is lost, because I think there are provisions within the law that even the representative, our representative that is in the parliament, in the judiciary, in the legislature can fail. So we need to come up. We need to unite as wananchi. We have got judicial processes and also extrajudicial processes. Judicial processes is that were the judiciary working well, our courts working well, we can use them to recall some of these leaders. We can use to hold some of these leaders accountable. Besides that, we have extrajudicial. Extrajudicial, I mean, we have got ways like protests, peaceful protests. That is it. It's well provided for in our constitution. It is high time that Kenyans comes out, and they have to come out with a lot of authority. You know, because the government, I think there is no government that has ever defeated wananchi. It is just that wananchi have not made a decision really to put to government to account. If that one were to take place, some of this will not be where we are today. But our silence, our inaction actually will really push us to place to a position that will be difficult to salvage.
All right, let's take a quick break here on the Morning Momentum, and then we come back and discuss why the president is angry according to the Standard this morning.
Ever the best. Hallelujah. Ever the best. Hallelujah.
Security that was withdrawn yesterday. The police boss responded saying that the security detail is intact, and that you know, Welcome back to the morning momentum. We apologize for that technical hitch. If you're just joining us, we are in our backyard here with the guest. Fred Ongalo is his name, not here for the first time. And we are discussing the things that have been happening in the political landscape in the country this week. And before we went on a break, we were discussing, the outrage that was put out in public yesterday by the Chief Justice after her security detail was withdrawn. Of course, the police boss responded and said that her security is intact, only that the ones who are there have been withdrawn to go for a retraining because they got their promotions. And right about now, on the Standard this morning on page 4, now it says the president is an angry man. Now listen, fuming Ruto breaks the silence, turns up the heat on his critics. Signaling a shift in strategy, the president has intensified his criticism over former Deputy Rigathi Gachagua. He has further defended his development tours as genuine projects rather than early campaigns. And this is what we want to discuss now. Mr. Fred,
Yes, yes.
why do you think the president is an angry man?
Oh, I think the president has a reason to be angry, Alphonse. You know, nothing is normally embarrassing as being challenged by your junior. You know, like now, let's take example, our former DP Gachagua. This is, okay, literally he was an appointee of the president. When someone that you've appointed and of course felt that you've sacked him, you know, sacking the impeachment, Gachagua's impeachment was, I would say, is what a sacking letter by the government, by the president. But when you see such a person still gaining momentum, political momentum, still having a lot of influence, besides so many failures that the president have witnessed in the 2 or 3 years of his reign, these are reasons enough for the president to be embarrassed, you know. So it's not something personally. When President Ruto was taking over, this is one guy that I had some soft spot for him. I believed in the manner that he came into the presidency. I thought he had a plan and he was a master of politics. But along the way, I've changed my opinion. You know, he seems to be being embarrassed. He seems to be a bit uncomfortable. He has no plans. These are reasons that I've really put him off his leadership, and he is one person that is worried. Yes, yes.
Now, why did you change your mind?
I changed my mind because, you know, I'm also a Kenyan like you and many of us, our viewers here. And I think we were not expecting, you know, the President Ruto was elected on the platform of reforms and actually was elected on the ideology of supporting poor Kenyans. That is it. The hustler ideology was focused more on the poor Kenyans than on the middle class and the rich, you know. But as we speak now, most of the policies, most of the legislation that we witnessed being enacted in parliament and other government policies, these are policies that are not friendly to Wananchi. Wananchi have really paid for this presidency.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's get back to the back and forth between the president and his former deputy, Rigathi Gachagua.
Yes, yes.
Now, how do you think the impeachment of, Rigathi Gachagua impacted political dynamics in the ruling government at the moment?
Oh, there is one thing that we have to take home, and that one is the strength of our Kikuyu, of our brothers. Kikuyu brothers, actually, they are strong. These are people who have ruled this country. They have given us 2 presidents. Besides the population, their population, which is also very significant in any election in this country, you know. These are people who still hold positions in government. Now, when there was a divorce between the president and Gachagua, really, maybe the president felt that it was all with the exit of Gachagua. Now will be comfortable. There will be no more position, especially from the, because any government, any person that is vying for the presidency in Kenya today really must see it that the Kikuyus are well strategic. The Kikuyus are very strategic as far as the presidency of this country is concerned. So the presidents have realized that there is some resilience with the Kikuyus nation. That they are, first of all, they are not happy with him. They have realized that the president have realized that the Kikuyus did not hate the Gachagua as he thought. And you know, for his re-election, actually, the Kikuyu must come in handy. So when he realized that the Kikuyus are not went with Gachagua, and never remained with him, you know, this is one reason that is really troubling the president and his handlers. That it might not be business as usual when we go to 2027 election. He feels frustrated because he's really worried on how best he can be able to bring back the Kikuyus community because of their influence, their population, you know. Yeah.
By saying Kikuyu, I believe you are referring to the Mount Kenya region.
Exactly.
And this brings me to what Gachagua was saying yesterday when he went live on TikTok to respond to what President Ruto had said earlier. We'll come to that. But yesterday he was saying that the Mount Kenya region has moved on.
Yes.
Whether the president resurrects, I don't know, Mumbi, the daughter of who and who, he cannot reclaim back Mount Kenya.
Very true.
What does this mean for President William Ruto?
Oh, okay. To me, that one is really not I will not really take it to be the final nail on the coffin. You know, politics is very dynamic, Alphonse. Anything can change. Gachagua is being a politician and is very clever. He really wants to use the perception that the Kikuyus have left the president. And, well, they have left him. But, you know, we still have got like 2 years to elections. Yeah, no, anything can happen along the way, you know. So in as much as Gachagua will really want to portray that it is all gone between the president and the Kikuyus, I will not, if I were the president, I will just take it easy because there is a lot of time to do the recovery, you know. But then what Gachagua actually meant is that the Kikuyus will never support the president, actually. That is what, and that is the perception that he wants to go outside there. He really wants to be seen to have won this, to have won in the war between him and the president, you know. These are now rivals, and you know, everybody really want to fight to win to be the winner. Yes.
Is he bitter?
Gachagua himself?
Yes.
Of course. Gachagua was the DP yesterday, and of course, I think you know, really, if you are the president, deputy president, you know all the privilege that comes with the deputy presidency. When it is taken from you, you cannot be it cannot be business as usual. Yes.
Let's talk about the incompetence and corruption in Gachagua, as mentioned by President Ruto. If you look at the short time the former deputy president was in office, did you see any elements of incompetence?
Oh, you know, some of these things, Alphonse, I really don't just want to talk because I don't want to subject former deputy president to public gallery. The issue corruption is not just corruption; is really these are facts. There is a way actually of proving that someone is been corrupt. If Gachagua was corrupt, and looking at the relationship between the former DP and the president, you know, we will have now seen Gachagua being taken to court. We've not seen that. You know, these are something that we were getting from the media. I personally cannot prove it. When I'm taken to account before a judge that I should prove whether or not Gachagua was president, what can I do? Nothing. There's nothing to show for that. So most of these things are just politics. You know, Gachagua was being accused of being tribal and all that. Now, if you keenly listen maybe to other communities who have of course gone to bed with the president today, who are now supporting the president, their reasoning is not far from the reasoning of Gachagua when he was a DP. You know, politics in Kenya are purely tribal and local. Gachagua was just trying to to bring the Kikuyus together, unite the Kikuyu, so that he as a person, not as a tribe, but as a person who really have that requisite influence for political or for future political positions. So I would really not blame Gachagua so much, because when someone says that I really want to unite my tribe, like I am a Luo today, then he has not denied you an opportunity actually to do the same. So actually Gachagua never denied anybody an opportunity to mobilize his own or her community. So this is something that I will not really take seriously. It was purely politics. If there was anything criminal in the manner that Gachagua behaved or discharged his responsibility as a deputy president, well, up today we'll have seen him in our courts. Yes.
Speaking of those court cases, on page 6 of the Standard this morning, High Court rejects Gachagua's plea to freeze 10 cases challenging ouster. Former DP's lawyers wanted the court to delay the cases until higher court reaches a verdict.
Yes.
But Senate's lawyer Ojienda says the cases should either be withdrawn or dismissed by the judges. So he has been dealt a blow. What does this mean to him in an attempt of trying to remain relevant in the public domain?
Oh, you know, Gachagua's impeachment was actually spearheaded by the same government, and it's the same government that is now trying to frustrate the Chief Justice. Gachagua did not expect much. The former DP did not expect much. Actually, this was very much expected. Otherwise, this is one guy who had been impeached. There is no much damage unless we have a new regime where there will be. We'll have a more sober, a more impartial, maybe judiciary to look at these cases. This case has not expired, according to me. Gachagua should just take it as it has come from maybe from the judiciary. So that is not a big deal. He's been impeached, and I'm sure he's very comfortable. From what I'm seeing from him, he's very comfortable. We don't expect much that is going to come. You know, the decision by the judges, going by the trend that we've seen so far, I don't think we have any confidence that that decision is the best. It could be a political, maybe based on the political directions from the executive. Who knows? Yeah.
All right. Now, yesterday, let me take you back to that live TikTok of Gachagua. He clapped back at President Ruto, and instead, you know what they say, back to sender. He said that President Ruto is the one who is incompetent and corrupt, you know, and he was referring to, I don't know, look at what he has done in 2 years and compare with what the other leaders have done within the same time frame. And then he left us with a question to make a judgment who is most corrupt. Now, what do you think these public altercations between the president and former deputy depict in how the people look at, you know, the political landscape in the country?
Oh, well, because these are politicians, much is expected. There are such altercations are bound to be seen here. You know, Gachagua, as I've said it here before, is that Gachagua is a guilty lover. You know, he has a reason to complain. He has a reason to be relevant. You know, he's also fighting for his space. But you know, the president himself is also trying to recover from all the negativities received, and especially from Gachagua himself. So it is actually, to me, because it is the president himself who is positioning himself for these challenges, for these exchanges. You know, if I were him, then I would not really engage Gachagua. I will not totally know, because the more he engages Gachagua, the more his public utterances are seen to be targeting Gachagua, or maybe those who are close to Gachagua, the more, you know, he's attracting responses from the same people. Where actually it's not good, but then how can you avoid it when the president is a person? He's all over in the public. He's all over in the public. It's like it's politicking day in, day out. What do we expect? That is a situation that we have to live with as Kenyans. It is embarrassing. Really, the president is supposed to be an office that is very much held in high esteem. But then it is the president himself that is exposing himself for all this.
Could this signify deeper divisions in the coalitions that brought President Ruto to power?
But the divisions are, just have said it, the Kikuyu nation really played like 60% election of the President Ruto. Now that they are not there, the divisions are obvious. The crack is obvious. Yes.
It's widening day by day.
Yes, it is widening.
What you are saying.
Yes.
Now, again, these altercations about the president and his former boss.
Yes, yes.
What then can we make of, politics? Like, what is happening today, your friends, tomorrow you are divided. Is it a game of minds or something?
Alphonse, our challenge in this country is one thing, that Kenyans, we have not grown morally, because leadership in one thing, the laws are another thing, and of course, really to have the moral standard to hold these public offices is another thing. The moment that we'll understand that the position that we hold them in trust of wananchi. That we really need to work for humanity. We really need to work for wananchi. That is the moment we really know to go after unnecessary wealth, unnecessary influence and authority. Kenyan leadership is, we are still, I don't know, in the is it in the fourth world or the third world kind of social setup, where people go for this position actually to get influence, to have authority and necessary authority, and of course, and just too much wealth for themselves. This is where the rain started beating us, because until we really grow up, until we really understand that human beings are just human beings, there is no much that can be enough for wananchi, there is no much that you really can get as well to be able to live. It is just these offices, people are supposed to hold them and maybe run them in accordance with the law, and that will just be enough. We are still not we are still not in the age that I, as a person, really believe that we are at our best.
Now, as we finish, my director tells me we need to be wrapping up. What does this conflict show about, levels of handling corruption at the highest levels of government?
Alphonse, I think as far as managing corruption in this country, we have failed, and we have failed so much, especially in this regime. Because it is not even what we are seeing at the moment. The moment that the president started appointing people who are perceived to be corrupt, people who have got past corruption cases history, really that is where we all got it wrong, because there is no way you can appoint someone with an active court case, whether criminal or economic or cases. That is really the moment, because in spirit, you are not showing us that you are ready to fight the same corruption. You remember the first cabinet of President Ruto. How many people like Aisha Juma, they had cases, and so many others. You don't really expect that something you can really fight it in the best way that you can. Right now, he has recycled all guards. We have Kabogo, how much about Kabogo, the other people, how much. There is this guy from Nakuru, there is Kabogo, and several other people that have been brought into this government. They have got issues with corruption. So you really cannot expect that they can support the same. We have got this MP from Waluke. Is it Waluke? Yeah, I think Waluke. He was declared bankrupt, and I think he has a murder case. The guy is now a member of parliament, very much in support of the president. Those are the people who are surrounding the president. How will you expect that we have any meaningful war against corruption? Not possible.
All right, let us sample your feedback here. Let's see what people are saying. It is hypocritical of Ruto to call Gachagua corrupt when he appointed him as his running mate in the first place. That is Onyango Kevin. Helen Kakasa. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly. Gachagua is bitter because he lost his power. This is just political drama at the expense of national development. All right. This conflict highlights the lack of integrity in Kenyan politics. We need leaders who prioritize the nation over personal vendettas. That is Irene Ooko. She says she's watching from Kaela Junction. Thank you so much, Irene. If Gachagua has evidence of Ruto's incompetence, he should take it to the authorities or publicize it, not just make accusations. Okay. The blame game is distracting us from real issues like unemployment and inflation. It's time to focus on solutions. That is Tamata Moses. Thank you so much. Let's see more. Kenyan politics has become a circus. Leaders are too busy fighting each other to serve the people. Okay, now on one more feedback here. This conflict might destabilize the government further. We need reconciliation, not division at the top. Okay, let's see if we have more feedback here. The impeachment was politically motivated. It's all about silencing critics within the government. Okay, we need leaders who focus on the country's development, not trading blame. Both Gachagua and Ruto have failed Kenyans. Okay. Thank you so much for your feedback. We appreciate your time and we appreciate you for keeping us company. Mr. Fred, thank you so much for showing up for our show today.
Thank you.
We are grateful. That brings us to the end of today's session of the Morning Momentum. I have been your host, Alfonsoh. See you on Monday, same time, same place. Until then, do have a beautiful weekend.
Thank you.